Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the board meeting of Fremont Unified School District. Before we start, I have an announcement to make. Since we have a big crowd today attending tonight's board meeting, we do have overflow rooms for people who cannot find a seat in this room. We cannot allow people to stand in the back of this room simply because of the fire code. And for people who are going to the overflow room, we have directors from this district to direct the traffic. And for those who are outside this room and watching, please follow the directions of our staff. We also invited Fremont police to be here just in case we need them to help control the crowd. Hopefully, we don't have to use them. Thank you very much. So let's start tonight's board meeting. First, I would like to ask our student board member to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Sandoval, would you do the roll call, please?
Trustee Shao.
Present.
Trustee Burke.
Here.
Trustee Campbell.
Here.
Trustee Sweeney.
Here.
Trustee Crosby.
Present.
And Student Madadin.
Here.
Thank you.
Superintendent Dr. Wallace, would you introduce your staff?
Yes, I will. On my far right is Administrative Assistant to the Board and Superintendent, Mrs. Patty Sandoval. And on my left are Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Dr. Raul Zamora, Associate Superintendent of Instructional Services, Dr. Denise Herman, and Raul Parangao, our Associate Superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace. Is there anything to report on action taken in the closed session?
Yes, I have two reportable actions. On a motion by Trustee Crosby, seconded by Trustee Sweeney, and a vote of 5 ayes and 0 noes, the board took action to approve settlement agreement for Office of Administrative Hearing, OAH, case number 2018-010311 in an amount of $24,300 for full resolution of parents' claims. The second reportable action is the board took action to approve the dismissal of classified employee number 4735 under California Education Code 45113, 45116, and Personnel Commission Rules 110A and M with a vote of 5-0. Trustee Crosby with a first motion, and Trustee Sweeney with a second. That concludes the reportable actions.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace. Would you continue to proceed for the superintendent's report?
Yes, it is my pleasure tonight to highlight some of our wonderfully successful students and talk about our students who have been honored by the Young Composers from the Fremont the Fremont Symphony. And I had the pleasure of attending a concert the other day and was just amazed at the talent of our young people. And so I wanted to read the names. And if those students are here, please stand up so we can applaud you and honor your accomplishments. Chadrick Stark, 4th grade, Mission Valley, Festive Song. Maggie Yang, 4th grade, Mission San Jose, Tick-Tock Clock. Aaron Law, 5th grade, Wybell, Let's Dance. Allison Lau, 6th grade, Azaveda, Celebration. Rishi Chandrasekhar, 6th grade, Forest Park, Eternity. And Harshita, sorry, my eyesight's bad, Sawan, 6th grade, Forest Park. Bonjour. Sorry about messing up your name, I'm sure. We have amazing, talented young people in Fremont, and watching them perform the other day was simply astounding. So thank you all, and we look forward to your future endeavors in the musical and other talents that you probably display. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace. Next, student board member, please provide your report. Hopefully, we'll hear more good news about our students.
Thank you. So at American High School, they're currently working on their Spring Fest, which is their Spring Spirit Week, and they also have an art show this Thursday. At Washington High School, we recently held a candlelight vigil and lunchtime rally for Nevaeh Gonzalez, a Washington High School sophomore, and her mother, who passed away 2 weeks ago in a traffic accident. We also this week held our 3-on-3 March basketball tournament and Easter egg hunt this week. At Kennedy, they're getting ready for their Spring Coffee House, where students are able to showcase their talents during lunch. And at Mission San Jose, we have our charity fashion show, which is tomorrow night, and the proceeds will go to Relay for Life. Irvington High School is having their Cocoa for Carpool this Thursday, so if you carpool to school, you get free cocoa. And they're making do-it-yourself stress balls. They're making DIY stress balls at lunch. But overall, students are really excited for spring break. One more day, so push through, guys, and have fun on spring break.
Thank you, student board member. Next comes to the consent calendar. At the beginning of today's meeting, the board has already agreed to remove item 10.1 from the consent calendar for a later date, and it would list it as a regular agenda item for discussion. Beside that, I would like to entertain a motion, but that was, oh yes, correct. Also, there's another item also from the consent calendar, 13.4, being removed for the same reason. Apart from those two items removed from the consent calendar, I would like to entertain a motion to approve today's consent calendar in a second. Then we can start to comment on those consent calendar items. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. So I would like to ask my fellow board members what item numbers you would like to comment on. For Trustee Crosby.
10.02 and 13.2. Also, I'm wondering if if there are any other items that we can table, or if we want to consider tabling because we are likely to be very late this evening already.
Yes. For that, my suggestion is that if we do not have a time-sensitive item, for example, 15.3, we can put it at the last of our agenda. If at the end of the meeting we still have time, then we can proceed to decide on this or vote on this item. If not, we can table for a future meeting.
So all of the items that we have that are facilities related, we have to take those tonight?
That's correct.
We couldn't take those on the April 18th?
They'll cause delays in the construction, and so we want to make sure that we don't do that.
Okay.
All right. Trustee Crosby is going to talk about 10.2 and 13.2. And Trustee Sweeney?
12.5.
12.5. And Trustee Campbell? And Trustee Burke? No? Okay. So Trustee Crosby, please proceed.
So on item 10.2, the minutes, item 15.4, we actually took a vote on the mascot, and it doesn't reflect that in the minutes, so if we could add that.
Okay, and please proceed to comment on 13.2, even though I know there's a 12.5 in between.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a point of personal privilege and make note that Scott Cantachesi, a longtime leader in SEIU, he has been working here since 1986, and he's going to be leaving us, and I thought it was important to call out his service for the district.
Thank you, Scott.
So thank you, Trustee Crosby. Trustee Sweeney.
Thank you. 12.5 is the new play structures at Patterson and Mission Valley, as well as the traffic flow improvements. I just wanted to make the comment for the Patterson community who was confused that some of their ball fields would be paved over in the back, that is not an agenda item. The board has not made any decisions. The board has no intent to pave over any existing ball fields.
Thank you, Trustee Sweeney. So we have a motion and a second. Let's vote.
It is open for your votes. And the motion passes unanimously.
With that, we'll enter into our regular agenda items. 15.1, which is to hold a public hearing not earlier than 6:45 p.m. and present sunshine proposals from FATA on Article 24, salaries reopener. The public hearing opens. Ms. Sandoval, do we have any speakers on this item?
We do. Just bear with me one moment. I have 4 speakers on this item. Virginia Gonzalez, Teresa Saavedra, Alexis DiMaggio, and Victoria Barbacara.
I understand that it takes some time for people to move from the overflow room to this room, so you don't have to follow the exact order by which your name is called. You can just go ahead and approach the podium. And each person would have 3 minutes.
Yes, the center.
The base.
Okay, thank you, sorry. Thank you. I guess I'm out of order, but this lady asked me to go ahead. Hi, everybody. My name is Alexis DiMaggio. I'm a retired teacher from Fremont, and I'm acting as a substitute for the last couple of years. I worked in this district for 32 years. I raised 2 children in here. My daughter is a teacher at Mission Valley, 15th year, so we have a lot of time invested in this district. And I'm very proud to be standing here in front of you today because I'm proud of this district and I am proud of my teachers union. We, in my view, are your human infrastructure. And you have to continue to invest in your infrastructure. Without us, you know, things would pretty much topple over. And I really think that in my years as a bargaining chair and on the bargaining team, somehow, every year, you came to us and said, oh my gosh, we don't have any money. So I wonder, why don't you budget for any salary increases? To me, it's a wise thing to do. I don't know if you do budget, but you just put it in a category where you maybe change the name. I don't know. But after all the years I've been in this district, how many times have we been here? About every 2 or 3 years. It seems to me like we could use our time better if we would just budget in for the salary increases that we know our employees deserve. Remember, we are your human infrastructure. Please invest in us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Virginia Gonzalez, and this is my 3rd year with Fremont Unified. I've had the privilege of serving as a resource specialist at Durham Elementary for the entire time, and next year will be my 5th year as an educator. If I stay on with FUSD, with no change in the salary schedule, I would have an increase of $2,050 next year. If I were to begin working with New Haven Unified, which I don't really want to do, I would make an additional $1,362.48. If I were to work with Mountain View Los Altos, I would make an additional $20,534 next year, on top of the $2,000 I would make with Fremont. That's a down payment that I can't otherwise afford. My husband and I both work and live in the city of Fremont, and next year our son will begin kindergarten in the Fremont School District as well, and we're very much looking forward to that. This is our community. We love Fremont. We haven't been here very long, but we're already very attached to it, and we really hope to stay. We can only do that if we can afford it. Once again, we really hope to stay. On an additional note, I'm currently working towards a master's in education. And earlier this year, I requested a partial leave of absence for next year in order to more effectively manage both my school and work responsibilities, of course, in addition to personal responsibilities. When my request was denied, I was told to keep in mind that special education positions are difficult to fill. With this in mind, I implore you to do what is necessary to retain the current dedicated professionals we have, people who don't want to leave, both in special education and general education. If these positions are so difficult to fill, let's not have to refill them. Do this by offering a fair living wage that shows both respect and support for our self-sacrificing student service professionals across our district. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Teresa Saavedra. I'm a 2nd grade teacher at Durham Elementary School. This is my 2nd year teaching in Fremont. I'm here to make sure that we have a voice and that we're heard. I transferred from Oakland after teaching almost 15 years there. And coming here, I was only credited 5 years of experience, which a practice I feel is very uncommon in other professions. I chose to transfer to Fremont because this is where my family lives. My husband works in the South Bay, so this is a perfect location for us. Choosing to work in Fremont, I had to take a big pay cut and sacrifice full benefits. Sadly, most of my paycheck goes to cover over $2,000 of health insurance, and I had to live with 2 sets of in-laws to afford our rent. I really would love to continue working and living in this city. I also have a community and family and friends here. But like so many other educators and workers who are in my boat, it doesn't seem possible in our near future. In the last 2 years, my rent has raised up almost $400. We seriously need a raise. We need to adjust for cost of living. And in the neighboring districts, if I was to transfer there, I would be paid at least $10,000 more, which would offset the cost of insurance. I'm a passionate and very dedicated teacher, just like many others, and we too deserve to work and live comfortably in the community we love to serve. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening again, board and district staff. I'm Victoria Burbeck Herrera, the Fremont Unified District Teachers Association president, and I'm here with the bargaining team for our Fremont educators for the sunshine proposal of just the salary opener. And I say just because it's one item, and yet we feel that at this point things are feeling a little bit weighty, and we really wish that we were not now in the position of bargaining 2 one-year salary negotiations at once. But it is difficult being now a full year behind on salary negotiations for the year that we are currently in. I know this is not a position that either of us would like to be in, But please respect that your educators need to have their basic needs met. We want to continue to serve, as I stated earlier. And it's fantastic to see so many parents and guardians here that if you ask them, absolutely love Fremont, and the number one reason that they love Fremont is the quality public education that Fremont provides. So on behalf of myself and the bargaining team and all of our Fremont educators, please do not let Fremont fall behind. Thank you.
Thank you. With no more public speakers on this item, I would like to close the public hearing. Now it's already 7 o'clock. It's usually the time for our open forum. When you walk in and you want to speak on an item that's a topic that's not itemized, typically you fill in agendized. You fill in an orange card, and then if you want to speak on an agendized item, you fill out a green card. However, for today's agendized items, we have 15.4, which is regarding the new board policy, 6142.3 regarding sex education. And I'm aware that a lot of public speakers already filled out orange card to use the open forum time to speak on related topics, more specifically the 3R sex ed instructional guidelines. So the board has decided to combine those two groups, and for those who already filled out the orange card to speak on the 3R instructional guide, you are invited to join a later group on item 15.4 so that you can just speak on that item.
Why don't we just take 15.4 now, and then we can get it all out done?
We do have other speakers on unrelated topics.
15.4 is about a board policy. So how is that? I'm not sure why we would be taking people who are not speaking specifically about the board policy at that time, unless, I mean, I think it's a point of order that you speak to the item. So if you're not speaking to the board policy, why would you be speaking at that time?
Okay.
Confusion on the cards.
Basically, it's the very hard for Ms. Sandoval to tell whether, just by simply looking at the card, that person is, speaking on 15.4 or in general sex education, because and also during that item, it's also hard for the board to differentiate whether that is directly related to the item or not. There's not a clear line on that topic. So from operations point of view, that's the suggestion I would like to make to the board.
Okay, I personally, I would like us to go by the color of the card, and then let people know that if they do want to speak on the board policy and that they filled out the wrong color card, that they can let Ms. Sandoval know, but they filled out cards to speak on oral communication, so my assumption would be that they are not speaking on 15.4.
The cards are all different colors for various oral and agenda.
So, but as far as what they describe, does it describe the board policy, or does
They're all over the place. They have sex ed / 3Rs, 3Rs / BP, BP / sex ed.
If they're BP, then that's the board policy, so that would fall under. Otherwise, that's all that we're discussing at that time is the board policy.
Okay, I would like to hear the opinions from other board members regarding this.
Ms. Sandoval, how many cards do you have that are that confusing for you? All of those? No, but how many does that look like to you?
About close to 300.
300 cards.
At 3 minutes each.
We'll be here all night.
I have been advised that a lot of the individuals who I may be calling are going to be grouped, which is highly encouraged. So it may be less, but it's a very high amount.
That's why, to me, I would suggest that we just combine them and we take 15.4 first, unless there's an oral communication for something that is not agendized. That way we can just, because they're too confusing to figure out whether they're oral communication or if they're 15.4.
Okay. So, okay, and now I understand the full depth of the concern that we have. I would not put them first, though, because we have people here for other items, and they would have to listen to, however we decide to break up 300 speakers.
Mrs. Sandoval, how many do you have on other topics not related to either 15.4 or a related group?
I have approximately 40 cards for oral communication. And
on other topics, non-agendized.
so I'm counting maybe about 30 for 15.2 and 1 to 2 for others.
So the question is, for all the orange cards, how many are not sex education related?
Right.
That would be this stack right here. About half.
They have nothing to do with sex ed or anything.
No, they do. So you're talking about oral communication.
I'm talking about
40.
the oral communication
40.
in the open forum. That's not
Right, 40.
Sex education related.
Or NGSS related.
Or honors related.
Or honors related, sorry.
So now it gets complicated because in oral communication, there are NGSS related,
Honors related.
Then
no honors related.
If it's
Those are
NGSS,
separate.
that can go on oral communications.
Right.
If it's honors related, then it would go on there.
No, honors is separate. That is the
Right,
other
right.
stack.
right.
Let's give Mrs. Sandoval a hand for even trying to tackle all this. It's going to be...
Okay. So Mrs. Sandoval, just so we're all clear, this item is for agenda items for people to speak on items that are not on the agenda. Has nothing to do with honors, which is what we're talking about tonight, and has nothing to do with the board policy on health and puberty. Do you have any of those?
That is the 40 cards that I have in hand. However, I cannot guarantee they're not going to speak about those items.
Why would you say that?
I think just as a point of clarification, I think a lot of people who are going to speak on the policy are going to be addressing the part of the policy that's for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, which is so I think that's where the bulk of those speakers are going to come from. So they might want to hold them for the agenda item. That's just a guess on my part. I don't know.
And those
That's
are
what I was
completely
saying.
separate, as well as the honors. Those are completely separate. If they
Okay.
were labeled as that, I place them separately.
Okay.
Okay.
So my understanding is that there will be 40 cards that are not directly related to the agendized items, and we will allow them to speak on the open forum starting from 7. And for those 40 speakers, what is the board's opinion on how many minutes each speaker will be granted?
1 minute.
1 minute. Okay. We have done that before, just 2 weeks ago, and we will follow the same practice. And while Ms. Sandoval calls the name of the first group, I will then read the statement from the board.
Okay. For oral communication, I have Henry Fung, Simon Lau, Josephine Shen, Suba, Sheng Zheng Shan, Allison McCauley, Patricia Lamb, Bassanio Law.
Okay, so actually, Ms. Sandoval, could you also announce the...
Got it. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Ms. Sandoval, just for controlling the process, could you also announce the name of the second group? Because it takes some time for them to move from the overflow room to this room.
Absolutely. Jessica Leon, Shauna Tung, Carol Zeely, Bella Zhao, Betsy Sung, Richard Wong, Fan Lei, Lucy, Michael Gartner.
Now I'll read the statement regarding the public comment. The board respects the right of the public to comment on board matters. Speakers are limited to 1 minute only tonight. Speaker cards must be submitted to the administrative assistant before the item is called. Speech or conduct that is disruptive, threatening, abusive, or defamatory is not allowed. Employees who are defamed are entitled to pursue legal action against those who engage in such speech. At the discretion of the presiding officer or board, anyone who disrupts the meeting may be required to leave. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation. You don't have to speak by the exact order.
And may I ask to please state your name?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Simon Lau. I'm a Fremont resident. And I come earlier in the 4:30 p.m. by accident, and then I heard that a lot of teachers saying that their salary issue. I get in touch about their speaking. And as I'm Fremont resident, we need a very good teacher for teach our kids every day, every hours. So I don't know why they have negotiate a lot of time about the salary. Because as one in a private company, if someone give me more salary, why I need to stay here? So as I'm a Fremont resident, I really don't mind to increase our property tax to support their salary. I don't know what happened about them because this is the first I heard. But I heard a lot of strange things because someone used tourist visa to come to Fremont to receive free education English class when for 3 months and then go away. So this is strange. So
Thank
please.
you. Thank you, Mr. Lau.
Only 1 minute.
1 minute.
Fast Italian. All right, good evening. My name is Jessica Leone, and I'm a kindergarten teacher here at Durham Elementary. I've grown up in Fremont, born and raised here. I went to Hirsch, Horner, Irvington, and Ohlone. It was always my dream to teach here in Fremont. I even did my student teaching at Hirsch and in Warm Springs. However, the reality of living in Fremont is not what I always dreamt it to be. I've been teaching for 7 years. My son, my fiance, and I had to live in a 1-bedroom apartment that cost us $23 plus $100 a month. It was all we could afford at the time. If it wasn't for my fiance's union job, we would have to pay an additional $1,000 a month for medical bills plus childcare. That's practically my entire paycheck. There's something really wrong with this picture here. Most of my paycheck goes to either rent and childcare and all that. I should be able to live comfortably here in Fremont. If it wasn't...
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Allison McCauley and Henry Fung. We're speaking on the same topic. Board, you'll be getting a plan presented to you by the LCAP committee in April that will cut all LCAP funding to FUSD secondary sites in order to devote 100% to elementary schools. We all agree that early childhood intervention is important, but we can't afford to do nothing for our kids after they pass 6th grade. At my school alone, the elimination of this funding will mean all library materials funding will be eliminated. We will lose our Mandarin speaking instructional aid, our after-school English and math tutoring, fundings for all of our ELD supplies, and the services of the youth and family therapist who deals with mental health issues. Site discretionary funds are already committed to other issues, and depending only on donations would cause massive inequality. The committee did not collect any data from any of the programs that will be affected by these cuts before making this decision. We can show evidence that we serve the target LCAP populations, but they did not ask us to do that. Please ask them.
Thank you. Next, please. Next, please.
Hello, my name is Betsy So, and I'm the Fremont teacher. I teach the Soho, arts. So my dream is because I don't have the salary. The salary is very low, and it's very low. So I wish if I could get some budget and earn more money. I would like to support a teacher association in Fremont. Any teacher, I figure out our teachers, they cannot support because Fremont is, have a very, very high, right now is housing is too high. So I figure out I love Fremont. So I love Doggett. So either Elizabeth Lake. I'm sorry, I have a fever. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I have a, well, I cannot speak so many, but I just love our city.
Thank you so much.
I am Michael Gardner, and 10-second story about sex ed. My parents married young, and when my mom told my dad he was pregnant, his response was, "How did that happen?" True story. But I'm here to talk about teachers. So I know you guys are dealing with what every district deals with. I live in Fremont, but I work in Union City, and we have the same problem. It's expensive and getting more expensive. You have a pie that's only so big, and it's not easy to solve. But it makes me scared for the future how things are going. I know you have hard decisions to make, but I grew up in Fremont and went through the schools, and I don't remember the curriculum, I don't remember the programs, I don't remember the buildings, but I remember the teachers. I remember Miss Lamb, Miss Chamberlain at Azaveda. I remember Mr. Likens at Durham. I remember Miss Kaufman in Walters, who gave me my first bad grade that made me do better. And I remember Mr. Cavella, which is why I'm a teacher. You need to decide the best way to spend our money. I believe people is the way to do it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Richard Wong. I'm a 23-year music teacher at American High School. In the nearby district, what they're making at year 5, a 5-year teacher. Or in other words, I could be making $37,000 more in the nearby district as a 23-year educator. If you want highly qualified professionals to teach in this district, you have to invest in them with a competitive salary schedule. If you don't, you won't get those candidates walking in, and you may get current educators leaving for districts that are willing to pay for the better teaching. I respectfully ask for a raise to show that you are willing to invest in our educators and keep this district a strong district. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Wong.
Thoroughly confused. I'm not sure what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm Carol Zilli. I'm the grandmother of a Fremont Unified School District child right now, and I'm an alumnus of Fremont Unified. And I just think if you just look at this audience and one in the next room, I think you can see that this is your community. All of these people, plus the thousands of others, and any curriculum that would divide a community, the fact that some have to wear white shirts and some have to do other things, is not a good curriculum. And I really feel the age appropriateness is the issue, and the controversial policy, I don't know if I can say that now, board policy 6144 is one
that would lead to 15.4.
Okay, so I think the bottom line is we need a common denominator, and the common denominator is character education. Is it still going in Fremont Unified? Because let's throw away those 3 R's and come back with character education, which is respect, responsibility, kindness, and caring.
Thank you, Ms. Zilli. Next, please. Next speaker, please. If you're speaking on 15.4, you have to wait until that item is called. But yeah, you can send one person to Ms. Sandoval to tell the names of all the people in your group if they submitted cards.
Okay. I did not call you. Okay. All right. Thank you. Rebecca Secheo, Jessica Leon, Victoria Burbeck Herrera, Henry Liang, Shireen, Lucy Tan, Lucy Zhang, Chinmay Murthy, Chayathi Iyer, Praveen Murthy, Joy, Shengyang Li, Shwetha, Jing Shao, Suba, Monica Shada, Aaron Ramani, and Justin Kui.
You have 1 minute. And also, if you're going to speak on sex education related topic, you're welcome to speak at item 15.4 later.
Okay. Hello? You can hear me.
Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Rebecca Sechao. I am a second-year elementary special education teacher in Fremont Unified. With the high cost of living in the Bay Area and our current salary schedule, I fear that my time with this district will be short-lived. I am first generation born to immigrant refugees and grew up in poverty in the Central Valley. I went straight to a UC after high school and earned my master's degree in special education before the age of 25. I set out to Fremont on my own with the mission to serve underrepresented individuals with disabilities. However, I question my longevity with this district due to the pay. I don't have family who I can live with, nor do I have a spouse or partner to help with the rent. My salary does not allow me to pay for a $2,000 apartment or a room from Craigslist that doesn't even allow me to cook, use a kitchen, or have guests over. Neighboring districts would be offering me over $13,000 more than Fremont Unified. Counties in the Central Valley are also offering more than Fremont Unified with fully paid health, vision, and dental benefits with $0 copay. However, I've worked hard to get here. I want to be here, but we need higher wages in order to survive and work in Fremont.
Thank you, Ms. Chow. Next.
I have 2 proxy here.
So you will have
3
minutes.
minutes. Yes. Dear Honorable FUSD School Board Trustees, my name is Ping. I'm a parent of FUSD. I have 2 boys, 4th grader and a 1st grader. I'm here tonight to represent my Fremont voters, to voice our anger and outrage over how FUSD has failed to involve the parents and the board in its adoption of the highly controversial 3R curriculum. We also want to raise our serious concerns about this new board policy 6142.3.
You cannot talk about that policy.
Next round or?
You can only talk about the policy at 15.4.
Okay, I will save my questions later on. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, board members. Hello, my fellow citizens. I'm here.
Can you speak up, please?
Yes, better now. Yeah. I would like to talk a little bit something about the NGSS. I would like to suggest the board to keep the current science path, meaning have biology and honor biology at 9th grade. As any parents pointed out and some board members agreed that there is no data available right now to make sure that NGS is superior to the existing science path. So it's a reckless to draw to conclusion that start NGS right now. And I have another concern, and I am almost worried. That is, I heard of our teachers talking about their struggles and challenges. I think we need to support them. But my worry is like, right now, I think there's some rush in the board decisions coming to NGSS and also the sex education. Well, while
Thank you. Can I have your name, please? Next. Next speaker, please. Did both of you fill out cards?
Yeah, so we are together.
2? So 2 minutes.
Yeah. So, okay. Oh.
2 minutes. Go ahead.
My name is Arun Ramani. I'm a parent of an 8th grade student who is studying in Thornton. I would like to thank the board for giving me this opportunity to talk. Even though the approved science curriculum for 9th grade is only NGSS, the silver lining is the students at least have a choice, and students can take biology in the 9th grade. The benefits of biology first as an option, the SAT access in 9th grade, one of the major concerns between the traditional path and the Jan 10th proposal was that students will not be able to take SAT subjects tests in 9th grade if they would like to do so. By offering Living Earth in the 9th grade, the district has continued to offer similar course offerings as it was before NGSS was adopted. District has course offerings similar to surrounding school districts and hence will provide equitable opportunities as these students compete with others for summer and other opportunities. So I just wanted to really thank the board, the district, and the teachers for all working together, and at least we have some solution which we can go forward with. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. So, Ms. Sandoval, that's all?
I've called all, but I still have a pretty big stack. I know.
I'm sorry, do I still receive 1 minute as the president of FETA?
You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. So I'm glad to be speaking again. I actually, as the very proud president of the Fremont Unified District Teachers Association, I want to speak on an item that I spoke at last school board, which was on the emergency credential permits. Because I think that perhaps it wasn't as understood as it could be. The packet itself noted the very high need for educators, and the item was to put out in a public forum with the ability for people to speak on the fact that we cannot fill our educator positions in Fremont Unified. And therefore, we needed to go through the process of publicly saying that we're going to approve emergency credential permits. To that end, I spoke about the kind of value of time and expertise and respect that you could show for your educators on things like how facilities money is spent and how the decision to change pathways after our educators have spent years, most recently on science and before that math, and the importance of valuing our educators and the effect that that might have on how many positions that we cannot fill. Not everything is monetary. Value comes in other forms. It was very disappointing on this agenda item of emergency credentialing permits to be interrupted by the president of the board, who told me that my comment was not relevant to this item. I was very grateful that Trustee Crosby was able to clarify that the speaker's point was that if you don't value the educators you have, then you're more likely to have more emergency credentials. I'm very grateful that that was stated, but I think that it is very disappointing that that needed to be translated. And so I hope that in every way that you can, you will respect the Fremont educators. Thank you.
So that concludes our open forum.
I've called to all these individuals, but we didn't get a response. Would you like me to call them again?
For time's sake, no.
Oh, thank you.
Because we already called their names, in advance to give them enough time to travel to the this room from the overflow room. But if someone's name is not called,
Did you submit a card for oral communication? What are you? That would be under. Okay. Mm-hmm. We're good.
All right. So that concludes our oral communication, and we'll come back to 15.2, review and approve honors entrance criteria.
While they're setting up, I just want to say thank you again. We have record-breaking crowds again tonight, just like we did last time around, and people are being very cooperative and staying patient, and we just appreciate that because we know that it will be a long night ahead of all of us, and so I just wanted to express my appreciation.
Good evening, board members. I'm Denise Herman, and with me is Susan Lemke, and we are here to give some information about secondary honors enrollment criteria. At the last board meeting, March 14th, the board requested a presentation to provide information about our current criteria for students to enroll in the honors and possible expansion of that so more students could participate. So on our first slide, we show that our existing honors courses that are available to students in the junior high and high school level. At the junior high, we offer English honors courses in both 7th and 8th grade and science honors courses in 7th and 8th grade. Where in high school, we have honors English 9th, 10th, and 11th, and then at 12th grade, the honors option is an advanced placement course. In mathematics, we have students who are accelerated, but our only actual honors course is pre-calculus honors. In science, we have honors biology that this year is in 9th grade, and in the course or the pathway approved most recently would be in the 10th grade Living Earth honors. And we currently have honors chemistry in 10th grade, and in the approved course, it would be chemistry of the Earth Systems honors for the following year. What we currently have for the criteria for students to be enrolled in the honors courses in the junior high. For the English, any student who is GATE identified during elementary school automatically will be placed in, or have the option to be placed in the honors English. For 7th grade, students who aren't in that program but wish to be considered if they have an A or a B in reading and writing in all 3 of the trimesters during 6th grade, they are then eligible for placement in that course. And that is both in 6th grade, and then similar for students rising from 7th grade into 8th grade, they must have an A or a B in both of their 7th grade semesters. The parallel criteria are available for science. Non-GATE students must have an A or a B in reading, writing, and math for all 3 6th grade trimesters, where in 8th grade, again, it's the semester program and they have to have an A or a B in English, math, or science. So that's the consistent track that we have for students in junior high. In high school, our current enrollment, if you've already been in the honors pathway in middle school, in junior high, all you need is successful completion, which is a C or better at the previous level to continue. If you were not in the honors program and you're not a GATE identified student, you would need to have A's in all 4 semesters of 7th and 8th grade. If you wanted to be in honors English, that would be in your English courses, and if you wanted to be in honors science, that would be in the junior high science courses. For pre-calculus, the only math course that we have, you need an A in the CC Algebra 2 Trigonometry, which is the prerequisite course, and mastery of those topics as demonstrated on a district assessment. So those are our current courses as well as the current criteria. At our last meeting, there were some board members who expressed an interest to maybe open up some opportunities for students beyond the criteria we currently have. So our team looked at what some other school districts are doing and what best practices are in this area, and we looked at 4 other variables that the board might want to consider. One would be to look at expanding the grades. Right now we have A's and B's coming from elementary school up to the junior high, whereas from junior high to high school it's A's only. So that's an area to consider. The second one, again, as we continue to improve the timeliness that we're receiving our SBAC scores, that could be one of the things. And again, that is an assessment that is standardized, and it also asks questions at varying levels of depth of knowledge. It has constructed response as well as selected response. One other option that we think we could explore is to use our science benchmarks as one other assessment tool for placement recommendations. Right now, the benchmarks are used more to inform instruction. We could consider using them. We don't have benchmarks in science right now, so if that was added, we would need to develop new benchmarks. And then the last one to consider is opening up for a lot more student input and student choice. And if that were the direction we were to go, we feel we would need to make sure that students are very clear on the differences between our college prep and our honors curriculum. We have that described now, but we think the more we would open it up, the more clear we would need to be with students on that. In terms of what that would look like, we could see, you know, on the chart that is shown, you know, the smallest adjustment would be to simply expand the grades. Then we could add multiple measures and add an existing assessment that is already in place, the SBAC. A next thing to do would be to add a new or different benchmark and add a local assessment. Then the final thing would be to go to having open enrollment in our honors courses. And there are high schools in the Bay Area that have all along those continuums. What we wanted to let you know is that the impact of having honors courses at the 9th grade, because we know that that has been a point of consideration for the community as well as for us in the science path discussion that we had previously. In terms of the impact it has at the 9th grade level, it does limit when you have a college prep and an honors track, limits the rescheduling of students mid-year who maybe start in one path and either find it too easy or too hard and are trying to change to another. It can be difficult for them if we don't have seats available. It increases the number of preps for teachers, so who are trying to differentiate and make sure that they're ready for each of their courses. We only have so many science teachers, and the more different courses we offer, the more preparation periods each of them would be assigned. The other important thing is that the UC system does not recognize honors classes to receive weighting when they're offered at the 9th grade level. And the final one is that if we offered 9th and 10th grade Honors Living Earth, it would then result in students who would be taking that at the 10th grade class where UC does allow weighting and recognizing it to lose that option if we offered the same class to both 9th and 10th grade students. One of the things beyond 9th grade that just in general offering honors courses does is it impacts those at the other grades, so those things don't happen just at 9th grade. It increases the constraint because when we have college prep and honors, sometimes we have 2 or 3 sections of either one of those. And when you have 2 or 3 sections, it can be very difficult for students to build the master schedule to get the elective they want and get in that singleton or doubleton class. Again, this also increases preparation periods for teachers. Increases tracking just in general, and then increases stress on students who maybe can't make the schedule change that they're seeking based on their performance in earlier semesters. I'm going to turn it over to Sue Lemke, who is going to talk us through what our current English pathways are and where those honors courses sit.
Okay, so when we look at the English pathway, what we see is that there are, at each level, there is either a college prep or an honors version of those courses. So that allows for flexibility for students to go from possibly a college prep English class in 9th grade to an honors class in 10th grade. If that's too rigorous or their schedule's too heavy, they can move back to a college prep level English class in 11th grade. We see too that in the 11th grade there is either an honors course offered at some sites or an AP English class offered at some sites. So those aren't offered at both of those aren't offered at one site. So that's the English pathway. It allows for that flexibility, and the big difference between those two courses is mainly the way instruction is delivered in the honors and the college prep. So this is a sequence that you approved 2 weeks ago. They're 2 completely separate sequences. So if we look first at the bottom sequence, the blue sequence, we start in 9th grade with Living Earth. And then students go on to either chemistry in the Earth Systems College Prep, or they can take it as an honors levels course. At the end of 10th grade, they've met their Fremont Unified science requirement, and they can start taking electives. So they can start taking AP classes beginning in 11th grade. Having done a biology and a chemistry course, they are now able to take any AP science class except for AP Physics C, which that would be able to be accessed in the 12th grade. For students in the top who are in the Physics in the Universe, they will then go on to Living Earth, and they can take either College Prep Living Earth or Honors Living Earth. And again, we are going to be applying for the UC honors designation for that course. And in order to get that honors designation, it cannot be offered also to 9th grade students, because the prerequisite for honors at the UC for lab courses requires a 1-year lab course as a prerequisite. So in order to receive that designation, it has to be preceded by a 1-year lab course. Students who finish the Living Earth, then since we don't have a 3-year NGSS requirement, they can stop taking their science and they can take electives. So they could take AP Physics 1 or Environmental Science, or if they want to get to AP Biology or AP Chemistry, they'll need to take that 3rd year of science, which is Chemistry in the Earth Systems, either College Prep or Honors, and then in the 12th grade they can take all the APs. The one thing that I did want to mention is that we have looked at the way that we can make those courses rigorous to get the honors designation is to align them to the SAT subject matter test. So one of the proposals that we're considering right now is for our Physics in the Universe to align it to the SAT subject matter test in physics. That does not actually require Algebra 2 and trig. It requires some trigonometry. It's sort of basic arithmetic. You can't even use a calculator on that test. And then same thing for Living Earth, that would have the honors course aligned to the SAT biology test and chemistry aligned to the SAT chemistry test for the honors level. And that's it.
Mm-hmm. So that is the information that we wanted to share with you about options that would be for the board to consider. We wanted to make sure we knew which one of the variables, if any, you wanted us to do further work and investigation on. Students have already enrolled in all of the courses in terms of college prep or honors. So if we were to consider making adjustments to the criteria, Greg Bailey was very adamant in asking that we make that for the fall of 2019, that we would have to re-ask all of the students for which classes they would want to take, 9 through 12, college prep or honors, if we were to change any of our criteria for next fall.
Thank you for the presentation. Do we have any public speakers on this item?
We do. About 22 speakers.
In lieu of time, we would allow 1 minute for each speaker on this item. So, Ms. Sandoval, please announce the names of the first group.
Sure. I'm Catherine Stoya, Justin Kui, Henry Liang, Lucy Singh, Shireen, Lucy Fan, Deepa, Shwetha, Suba, Jing Xiao, Shenying Li.
Could I ask a clarifying question, Ms. Lemke? What was the last statement that you said? Could you say it again about postponing to the fall of 2019? Could you?
One of the things that when you asked to bring criteria back, we published our course offering book that has all of these criteria in it back in January, and students selected their courses. So thinking about honors criteria in general, it would be difficult for us to change the criteria for entrance now after students have already completed all of their course requests. So we understand that this is a timely conversation, but in terms of implementation, it would be difficult to make significant changes for, let's say, opening up enrollment or now using SBAC scores to change placement for next fall.
Perfectly clear. Could they still offer the the SAT test at the end of the class? Or is that, since
Yes.
it doesn't have the honors designation?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for the clarification.
All right. So each person would have 1 minute. And if two of you both fill the card, then you would have a total of 2 minutes as a group.
But we need both names, correct? Okay.
Good evening. I'm Shubha Venkatamanan. I'm a parent of an incoming freshman at Mission San Jose High. First of all, I would like to thank the board and the district for approving dual pathways and continue to look into the honors criteria. I would like to highlight a couple of points in the district presentation. The board's members asked in the previous meeting was for honors criteria for 9th graders. The request was specifically for courses similar to Honors Biology and English Honors 9, which are high school courses and are not UC-weighted honors courses. Somehow I felt it got missed out. And number 2, however, I welcome the district approach to offer UC-weighted courses for all science subjects in 10th grade. This would greatly reduce the GPA stress that students have. I would also request the board members to ask a few clarifying questions on my behalf. The current 9th graders will have a choice to take Living Earth honors in 10th grade. Has the district requested for UC honors status for this Living Earth honors at this time? If not, when are they planning to apply for the UC weighted status? If it is a futuristic plan, then 9th graders can take the Living Earth honors at this time without affecting any of the UC weight issues. Having regular and honor choices will allow kids to choose their path and maximum flexibility and their own interest and ability. Each path, if you look at it, offers the chance of 2 weighted science courses in a totally fair and equitable way. For instance, students taking honors and non-honors physics first path will have Living Earth in 10th grade, and they can do an AP Science or Honors Chemistry in 11th grade. Students taking honors or non-honors Living Earth first will have access to Honors Chemistry in 10th and AP Science in 11th. The end result GPA for both paths are equitable. I would request the board to make an informed decision at this time and act in the best interest of our incoming freshman students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Shweta.
Did both of you sign
Yes.
the card? Okay.
Can I ask where did this come from?
The first
Oh, okay.
Please proceed.
Can I get 2 minutes?
Yes,
2
you
minutes.
have 2 minutes.
There's only 1 minute here. Yes. Good evening. My name is Joy. I have 2 kids in FUSD. Today, I'm going to point out one mistake in the attached background information with this item. The last item on the first page claims that the majority of the students taking Living Earth first will not take all high school NGSS, which may affect district accountability. This statement is not true. First, Living Earth first will cover at least the same NGSS contents as Physics first. On April 3rd, 2017, during NGSS Parent Information Night, Mrs. Lemke said,
"The AP Physics class has a lot of the same topics that are in the Physics in the Universe class, and that could be a substitution course, so students could go from Living Earth to Chemistry of Earth Systems and then to AP Physics."
So based on her statement, I believe most of you would agree that 11th grade AP Physics will cover NGSS no less than the 9th grade Physics in the Universe class. As a result, it is safe to say that the students taking Living Earth first will cover NGSS no less than that taking Physics first. Most importantly, not covering all NGSS standard is a statewide problem. It has nothing to do with Physics first or Living Earth first. The state and FUSD have 2 years of science requirement for graduation. Students just want to satisfy science graduation requirement will not take all 3 years of science to cover all NGSS. how will these students cover all NGSS? Thank you.
Thank you. From now on, if a group of people come and only one person speaks, that person, could you please also state the name of the other people in the group?
Will ignore me. It's Lucy. The other person that spoke is just Lucy?
Next, please.
Yeah. Mine. Yes.
Lucy Fan.
Lucy's.
Okay, state all your names.
Lucy Zhang.
Shen Ying Li. Good evening, board members. This is a continuation of Joy's speech. She finished the first half, and I will continue with the second half. This is also regarding the mistake in the attached background information document. So it claims that the majority of the students taking Living Earth will not be able to learn all areas of NGSS compared to Physics First science pathway. That is not true. So for students choosing Physics First, if they decide to take 2 years of science, that would be Physics in the Universe plus Living Earth in 10th grade. Then they'll miss out all contents in the chemistry in the Earth Systems class. These students will not be able to learn all NGSS, some of the NGSS contents as those who learn Living Earth first. And the last point is 90% of the school districts in California are not even following NGSS. For the 10% school districts that do implement NGSS, they do cover, none of them mandates Physics First. If only Physics First can cover all contents of NGSS, how can this district not know? They have Living Earth as the first science course in many high schools that has implemented NGSS. To summarize, Living Earth First has the same effect on district accountability as Physics First in the Universe pathway. The claim in the background information is incorrect. Thank you.
Thank you. Next group, please state both of your names.
My name is Henry Liang, and this is Justin Cui, and both of us are seventh grader fathers. Okay. Good evening, board, and thanks actually, Dennis and Susan, for your excellent presentation. It's very informative. But I really appreciate if you can clarify on the slide 6, basically a quote, offering a ninth and 10th honor Living Earth class would result in one eliminating the honor weighted designation for 10th grade for UC, unquote. As we know, actually, the honor class is not created equal. So some actually honor class by school is not recognized by UC system. So my first question is it the school district intention to offer actually UC weighted actually class in 10th grade? The reason I'm asking this, currently as now, the policy is none of the honor class in 10th grade is qualified for the UC recognized weighted class. So this is my first question. And then my second question is, so I did my diligence, I'm due to my research. But so far, of roughly how many 650 high schools, I only able to locate three actually have honor class in 10th grade for the Living Earth. I cannot find anything else. Chemistry, I don't even have any luck. I cannot find a single school was able offer basically qualifies for UC. So my question is, from your opinion, professional opinion, you're the expert, what's the chance we can, get approval for the UC? So my bottom line is, if what's the best strategy? If you think actually if the chance of word slam actually to get a UC approval, is this better actually from the student's perspective that the kids actually had the honor in the next grade? Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you. Next group.
Yeah, we have two. I'm Arun Ramani and sharing. Hello. Yeah, my name is Arun Ramani. I'm a parent of an 8th grade student who's studying in Thornton and who will be a freshman next year in American High. I request the board to make an informed decision at this time and consider offering honors courses for the incoming freshman students. The slides number 6 titled Impact of Honors Courses at the 9th grade level quotes the following: limits flexibility for rescheduling mid-year, increase the number of teacher preps. The above points are valid when you offer honors and non-honors courses across all grades and subjects, and there's nothing specific to the 9th grade and science. Why is this being discussed only under the context of science? These cannot be an issue for 9th grade only. It has to be an issue whether it is a 10th grade class or 11th grade class. This is an issue if the subject is English or math, and in English honors is being provided, and you have a separate pathway for math, right? So highlighting this as a science-specific issue for 9th grade issue puts the 9th graders at a very big disadvantage, right? So I want the board to make sure to make an informed decision and make honors courses available for the 9th graders, and do not take away something from them, right? Because they've already in 8th grade completed honors. So so that's our request. That's my request. Thank you. Thank you again for your presentation. Thank you, board, for giving the opportunity to talk.
Thank you. Next group.
Yeah, hi, my name is Praveen Murthy, and this is Deepa Venkatraman. So just to summarize, again, I thank you for preserving the dual pathways that you voted on, and for considering allowing honors for the 9th grade science pathways. Our comment, so just to summarize, I think the proposal from the district to use various entrance criteria, I think the student choice is always welcome, and we support that. And with enough rigorous explaining to see what the consequences are of taking each of these courses. And also in summary, I would like to just say that as the previous speaker mentioned, it's not clear why the issues cited by the district for honors in 9th grade don't apply to all honors grades in all subjects with honors throughout the high school curriculum. And both pathways are NGSS science, and since the state and FUSD require only 2 years, this 3 years based testing will be skewed anyway, which is what some of the other speakers said. So based on all this, I would like you to make an informed decision and consider offering honors for both physics and living earth in the 9th grade. Thank you.
Thank you. Next group.
If you would please allow me to call more individuals.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Yothi Iyer, Chinmay Murthy, Suba, Michael Rivera, Beth Perez, and Emily Blackburn.
I have 3 of us, so I have 3 minutes. Emily Blackburn, Catherine Stoyan, Beth Perez.
You have 3 minutes altogether.
Thank you. It's only 2.5, so I should be good unless I talk slow. My name is Beth Perez. Thank you so much. Thank you for doing what you've done. I know this has been thankless in many ways, so I appreciate all your hard work and effort. I've been a junior high school teacher for 21 years. I've taught at Hopkins for all 21 of those years. The current system of tracking in the junior high schools has created 2 different schools within a school. At Hopkins, 70% plus of our students are in the honors track, while 30% are in the college prep track. It is a form of segregation based on perceived intellect. In 2010, the issue of whether junior high schools should continue to offer honors history was brought before the board at the junior high level. I spoke at that meeting about how at Hopkins, history was the only content area class where our students were grouped heterogeneously instead of by ability. Our history classes were a reflection of what we wanted our society to look like. Students of all socioeconomic, racial, and ethnic backgrounds working and learning together. We believe as teachers that all students can learn at high levels, not by weakening or diluting the curriculum, but by scaffolding and differentiating instruction. Hundreds and thousands of studies have shown that tracking students has minimal effects on learning outcomes and profound negative equity effects. What has the most profound effect on student learning is high expectations. Steep learning curves are the right of all students, regardless of where they start. Making the learning intentions and success criteria transparent, having high but appropriate expectations, and providing feedback at appropriate levels is critical to building confidence in taking on challenging tasks. Additional studies show that children in mixed ability classes outperform those grouped by ability. An approach that involves students not being divided into ability groups, but being given a shared responsibility for each other's learning leads to a significant improvement in the achievement of both high and low achieving students. Once students are grouped, they generally stay at that level for their school careers, and the gap between achievement levels becomes exaggerated over time. The notion that students' achievement level at any given time will predict their achievement in the future becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I would say this is deja vu, but it's not. Today, there is so much more pressure for acceleration than 8 years ago. School has been a competition for many. That's what it's become. And I believe students are being pushed beyond what is healthy. I'm not looking to place blame on anyone for this, but because I think there are many factors, but we can make things better. Paulo Freire says, changing language is part of the process of changing the world. It is time we change the language in Fremont. Instead of setting limits by labeling students as honors and non-honors, let's create a new language, one of equity and of possibility. What the best and wisest parent wants for his own child, that must we, the community, and the school board want for all children. Eliminate honors in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. Thank you.
Michael Rivera, Mission Valley Elementary, and 42-year resident of Fremont. I'm here tonight because I'm passionate about teaching and learning. As I've said at many previous board members, I'm a product of Fremont Unified. I even am the son of a feisty mom who fought to get me into honors in 5th grade, though I didn't qualify by testing. Looking back, I wasn't part of the decision, and I regret the choice. I lost friends who resented my move and felt that I thought I was better than them. I had teachers who felt honors meant extra work and projects, not higher order thinking. Peers in my classes mocked me for not getting straight A's and not applying to UCs. So senior year, I opted out of honors. That was 25 years ago, and from what my students tell me, the climate's only gotten more stressful. It's time to stop the long history of intellectual tracking in Fremont. I've taught 16 years. My classes have had English learners, those with challenges, mainstream students from special ed, students on grade level, and honors. I challenge all my students in one room. The reality is all children can be challenged together in one classroom. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, we just arrived at the time that we have to take a break. That's legally required for the closed caption provider. So we will take a 10-minute break, but I have an announcement to make here. During the break, do not move rooms. Stay in your current rooms. Otherwise, if you exit from the room you're currently in, the police officer will ask you to leave the building. Once again, do not exit the room. Otherwise, the police officer will ask you to leave the building. Okay, we will reconvene at 8:17.
This whole boardroom is filled with people coming out about the dual program. It's hard to make together an institutionalized process to kind of change. It's hard to
I have to exit this building.
Well, yes. You agree? Oh, you agree with me? Oh my God! What is this? Should we just be jumping up and down? I guess we can't leave the room either. Oh, the cameras are leaving. Oh, good. Oh my God.
I want to say thank you again for the last board meeting.
Sorry, this is private. I don't know. We're just it's very difficult.
Yeah, I didn't get an opportunity to share with you. I did with three of the other board members. I had coffee with them and talked about some of the things that I thought would appease. And one of those is some parents were talking about the SAT2 exam, and it's my belief, and I've talked to a lot of the teachers, that if we made the honors courses for each of the 3 science classes SAT2 content, which is a small bit of content added to what we currently have, that then the kids will take the SAT2 at the end of each year. Because when you look at the difference in physics, SAT2 they can't use a calculator. It's all conceptual, which is what we're trying to teach. Biology, they have to add some botany pieces, and in chem, it's a few content pieces.
So correct me if I'm not wrong. The SATs aren't necessarily required.
So they're not required, and this is something that was really intentional with the UCs stopped requiring them 2 years ago. Still require them. And those are the ones that parents are applying to and saying that we're not doing them a service. I'm saying, hey, if that's the case, then I can really putting, making that a part of our curriculum and would, if you did that, nobody would take the living room. So that's why I pushed the reason for having the physics class all along from the beginning. Because when you start looking at all of the issues, it just makes sense. You know, it's hard because it's a complicated issue and you try and explain it to parents in an hour setting. It's just not long enough to go through all of the things that they have difficulty with. So, you know, I sit down with them and I talk with them and, you know, they begin to see the picture and they see the problem. You hear the tone is different a little bit and they're nitpicking on, you know, some other little pieces, but they're not arguing the bigger pieces at this point. Because, you know, you just have to take the time to educate them. And they're sensitive because of the information that they were receiving wasn't correct. When somebody said, oh, the SAT test, no, that's not required. That's what they told me, it's not required. No, they were talking about UC. So the parents right away say, oh, my pupils today are on your daddy tape. And they're right. So, you know, you just stand up and tell them, you know what, that was wrong. And he said, I came correct. This is the truth, and now we have a fix for it. So, here's a solution for it. I understand it. I also understand the other concept of heterogeneous grouping. 20 years ago, we had 3 tracks. We had a general, a college prep, and a rural. And I told my principal, I said I would like to try one class that's heterogeneously grouped and do a study, and I did. And what I found was that the upper kids were not harmed. And only the lower kids were elevated. So, yeah, all the studies show that, but you can't convince parents of that. I wish you could, but it's just they're just not going to buy it. Anyhow, I know it's going to be a fun little bit. I mean, sex ed, you guys are going to be here all night. I'm going to be leaving after science, so.
Although I don't think I can say for sex ed. Some would argue that sex ed and science are duh.
They used to go together. I mean, I used to have to teach in bio.
Well, we're working. It's a process. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your hard work. It's always different. It smells like an Elks Club in here.
I know, that's what I was saying. They need to turn on the air.
Okay, please be seated. Starting 1 minute. Please be seated. We're going to start.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. You're good. One moment, please. One moment, please.
Welcome back to the board meeting of Fremont Unified School District on March 28th, 2018. We'll continue the agendized item 15.2. We just concluded the public speakers part for this item. I will let the board have the floor.
Trustee Shao, I apologize. There was an individual who submitted a card on time and who was in the restroom at that time and was not able to speak. May she have a moment?
Yes, please. Just 1 minute, please.
Sure. My name is Jyoti Iyer. I'm the parent of an 8th grader at Hopkins. And I'm here to understand why 9th grade science is being treated differently from all the other subjects. We have honors being offered for English for 9th grade and honors in 7th and 8th, 10th and 11th. So what makes offering 9th grade honors for science so different? There are kids who are high achievers who need the challenge, and to keep them motivated, we do need honors classes. Just removing honors from one subject for one grade, I'm not sure will achieve anything. Secondly, if the district is planning to apply for the weighted status next year, why can't this year's upcoming 9th graders have honors courses? These are just two questions I would like you to consider and before making a decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the board has the floor. Trustee Crosby.
Maybe we can start by clarifying one question I heard from a speaker and also was interested in knowing. So are we likely to have acceptance for the honors in time for this coming year, or when is that likely to happen?
We still have till May 31st to submit our courses. So we've got plenty of time.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Also, there was many speakers who've come to us over the last few meetings who have mentioned that, well, they're not doing this at other school districts. And I would like you to know that I was at a legislative meeting in Sacramento with other school board trustees from this area, and I asked them, you know, what are you doing now? And many of them have just not gotten there yet. It's not that they're not intending on doing what we're doing, it's that we're ahead. So know that. And my other question is about Irvington High School and their honors program, and whether or not, because my understanding, or correct me if I'm wrong, it has been that English honors and science honors were tied together. So you had to take both. Is that still the case, and how does any of this impact?
So my understanding is that this gives them a little more flexibility, not having honors, so that kids can be in either the physics or the Living Earth course within their families. They'll all be Living Earth in a family and all physics in the universe. That's my understanding of it. I spoke to the former principal this morning about it in detail, and she said that it actually gives them just a little bit more flexibility.
So would they have to have honors English at the same time as with their science?
I can't answer that. I don't know that question because I don't know the intricacies of their schedule well enough.
Okay, because I mean, we heard this before, and this keeps coming up, is that we have a unique program in Irvington, and I think sometimes it's terrific, and other times it really hampers students, so I'm concerned about that and would like additional information. With AP, are there prerequisites for AP? Because my understanding was always that you had the ability to go into any AP that we didn't track to AP.
So you should have AP, or you should have a biology course and a chemistry course before you take AP biology. And you should have a chemistry class before you take AP chemistry. Those are the recommendations.
But you do not have to have been an honors student. You don't have to be gate
No,
identified.
they're open enrollment. Anyone can take it as long as they've met the prerequisite.
Okay, excellent. I have other questions, but I'm going to wait and let others speak first. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Sweeney.
Thank you, President Chow. I want to thank all the parents who have been so passionate, all the teachers who have been so passionate, and the presenters tonight. You guys have worked really hard over the past 2 weeks to try and make sense of the board's vote. So I really, really appreciate the candor and the hard work on everybody's part to try and make this a reality. It's my understanding, in a nutshell, to simplify things to the most bare of all simplifications, that in order to achieve this dual pathway that the board wanted to put forward last board meeting, we pretty much have to give up honors in the 9th grade this year because it's just too complex at this time to be changing the schedule offerings. So while honors would not have been a problem if we had went with the original proposal of just one pathway because it would be divided, we now have 2 pathways which could result in honors, non-honors, so 4 different 9th grade classes. That's my understanding. So to get one, we have to get rid of the other. So I appreciate how hard you've worked to try and make this a reality, and I appreciate the attempt to try and make all this happen in such a quick period of time. I would have a hard time recalling a time in the last few years when the board has asked such a complex question to come back at the next board meeting, and you've come back with something that's very interesting. But in a nutshell, that's what you're saying. So that would be the trade-off, is my understanding.
Okay. With no one in queue, our actually student board member, please.
All right, thank you. So we have a couple questions. So, well, one is that we do not want students who are in junior high, how they perform on their science classes. We don't want that to determine how their science courses will become for like the rest of their 4 years in high school. So I think it's really important that we keep junior high level sciences for junior high only, and then not have like that that tracking per se. So when you enter high school, just based on how you do in 8th grade, because how you perform in 8th grade or like those classes are determined by how well you do in 7th grade, and that just goes back to 6th grade. So we want to stay away from that. So with that being said, the transition between 8th grade and 9th grade science courses, we want students to be able to choose which classes they want to take, because physics in the universe and the second option, living Earth, they're both college prep classes. Mm-hmm. So what we think, what Surfboard E thinks, is that if you're an 8th grader and you get a C or higher in your science class, whether it be honor science or regular science, you should be able to you should have the opportunity to select whether physics or living Earth. So you can pick which pathway you like to take. However, when you're in 9th grade, now you're selecting courses for 10th grade. If you, so you're in 9th grade, you're selecting courses for 10th grade, and there's like a possibility for honors. And we think that we should keep it to, I know like there's some other variables to consider for honors classes, but Surf likes the idea of whether you get an A or B in the science class. And if you get an A or B, that means you have the opportunity to take honors. Doesn't mean that you have to, but you have the opportunity to. And I think like that should continue for sophomore year to junior year as well. But if you do not get an A or B, then you're restricted from taking honors classes. You'll stick to the college prep level. Talking about there was one variable with benchmarks, and I think we should stay away from using benchmarks as a variable, because benchmarks were created for teachers to see how well like their department is doing teaching the material to students, and it's more of like an internal test in my opinion, rather than something that I think should make the decision for students. I think sometimes benchmark performance is different from class to class, from teacher to teacher. So I think we should stay away from that. But we are giving students, I think like we really should be giving students a choice with this, but they need to meet some basic requirements. Another concern was with movement between the two tracks. Between like the two pathways, the college prep pathway, the physics in the universe pathway, and then the living Earth pathway. If we are allowing students to possibly like go from the top one to this bottom one, or the bottom one to the top one, are we going to be allowing students to do that? No, right?
No, they're two separate tracks.
Okay, just wanted to clarify on that. So when you're on one, you'll be staying on one, and if you're in the other one, okay. And we had a question about why AP Bio and AP Chem were not allowed for the juniors in the physics in the universe pathway, but you clarified on that. To take AP Bio, you have to take biology and chemistry already. And then to take chemistry, you should have taken biology already. So that's why, that's why there's that. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to compliment our student board member. Wow.
Yes.
He understands formative assessments better than some educators, so great job.
Trustee Campbell.
Well, I want to just say thank you for this, and I know this has been a rough road to have to go through, and trying to find the sweet spot between what the teachers want and the sweet spot between what the parents want, and it's very difficult. And trying to find a compromise is also a very difficult process with what we have before us. So I just want to ask a couple of questions. Some of the parents had asked a couple of questions, and I think we had sent some questions before. And I think one of the parents just now said, why are we treating honors differently? Well, let me preface this before I ask that question. Once you start a process in an institution such as the school institution, it's very difficult to try to change that process. And it's difficult to do it quickly. I think if we move slowly, we might be able to make some change slowly as we go, especially when we're hearing teachers said they would love to eliminate honors in the 7th, 8th, and 9th grade because it does create this inequity. I think that's a wonderful goal for us to have. I don't know how quickly we can get there, but I think that that's something that we should be talking about if in reality that does create the kind of inequities that we're seeing. So with that said, the question that the parent asks is, since we are here, we're in the honors world, why are we treating science honors in the pathway that was not staff recommended, but the one that the board approved any differently from the English honors that you just showed us in the slide?
So when you have one subject, like if you have English 9 honors, you can offer those and you can move back and forth between them. Mm-hmm. When we made the decision when the board made the decision to offer 2 tracks of Living Earth and Physics in the Universe, that really takes away that flexibility of offering the honors, because now you'd have to offer to freshmen 4 courses, which is when we asked the high school principals to weigh in on it, they were completely opposed to that, because now we have an honors physics, a Physics in the Universe, a Living Earth, and an honors Living Earth. And so that's scheduling a nightmare for them. If you stayed with Physics in the Universe, you could do honors Physics in the Universe or Physics in the Universe. You could do it that way, and everyone could get their honors level that way. Or if you did Living Earth as well, you could do the same thing.
Okay. So following that logic, when we look at the 11th grade, you said there's an option in the first track of Living Earth, which is the college prep, or is that an and/or?
Are you talking about 11th grade?
Or 10th grade, sorry.
So what happens is that in the 10th grade, you have your Living Earth, that's your college prep. That will be 10th grade and 9th grade students. So that's an option that you can have both your 9th and 10th grade students in. And then your honors Living Earth would only be your 10th grade course. Your chemistry in the Earth Systems college prep will be for 10th grade students as well as 11th grade students. So you'll have a mix there. And your chemistry in the Earth Systems honors will be also 10th and 11th. So you see that with these 2 tracks, the only separate course is your Physics in the Universe course. And your
Oh, okay. I'm looking at this slide, that's page 9.
Yes.
Page 9. So on the top track, the pink, are there 2 classes, Living Earth, College Prep, and Honors?
Yes.
So
we would have 2
essentially,
courses designed.
this first bullet would be two.
Right, it says college prep or honors, and the student would have the choice based on some of the criteria we just talked about.
And then the bottom one would be essentially the same too. It would be 2 courses. So you essentially are offering 4 different courses that students are able to take in 10th grade.
But it's 2 grade levels.
Yeah, so you have more flexibility because it's offered in both 10th and 11th grade. So it's not just 4 options that are only freshman level options, right? Can you explain that, because you do schedule?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay.
I think what you're trying to say is because the Living Earth College Prep would be 9th grade and 10th grade students in there together, you would have more students and it wouldn't be as great of an impact on the schedule as having 4 separate things for each grade level.
How is it that you can have 9th and 10th graders together in one class?
We do it now.
Yeah.
We have
Do it now?
chemistry with 10th graders and 11th graders, and we have biology with 9th graders, the schools that offer it, and 10th graders. So we do it now.
Okay.
And math.
Okay.
All the math classes.
Yeah, most of the math classes are definitely mixed grade.
So then, going back to the question about the UC designation and the weightedness of that, one of the claims was that if you had a honors class in the 9th grade for Living Earth, it wouldn't be able to get the UC weightedness of it in the 10th grade. But now you're saying you're going to have 9th graders in that class in the 10th grade.
Only in the college prep, not in the honors.
Only in the college prep and not the honors. Okay, so that's the part that I probably missed. That's why I was getting confused as to how that was going to happen if you did. And if we're not, so now we're between the A through G requirements and the UC designation and then the AP. So all of these different requirements for students, right? So if you were to offer a 9th grade honors class, we don't start, they don't go on their transcript until they start 10th grade in terms of
I guess
and college.
Right, it's two different things. Like right now, we have students taking 9th grade honors biology, and that goes on their transcript. We have the system where many of our students are trying to seek access to the UC college system. They have a very rigid way in which they interpret transcripts. So one of the things that they do is they do not give any weighting. So you can call it a triple weighted freshman class if you want. They aren't going to give it any additional weighting. A few years ago, they did change and say that you can now start to do 10th grade honors classes, again, expecting that the rigor is going to be high. You cannot, however, if you offer that course to 10th graders and it meets UC Durway's criteria, which we feel strongly ours will, if you offer that to 9th graders too, then you nullify the fact that that same course would not. So you'd be accidentally penalizing the students who might be taking that same course in 10th grade.
No, I understand that. But if the honors class was not, a 9th grade honors class was not something that was recognized by the UCs, and it doesn't really go on their transcript, would it make a difference because of the fact that it still would meet the A through G requirements? I mean, does it really make a difference in the UC requirement? I see one of our teachers over there shaking their head that might be able to answer that for me.
No, not UC.
So the answer, the
No.
question
You have to come to the
doorways?
mic.
for the doorway system,
I don't think.
For the dual system.
do you see? Setting them up for that yet? So the question that you're asking is, if we don't, or if we have a 9th grade honors, I think what I'm understanding your question is does it matter what we call our 9th grade? If we call it honors or not, it's not going in the UC doorway system because it's not going to get accepted, right? That's what I'm hearing you ask?
Yes.
And I think that when you create, so again, if you're creating a life science honors curriculum that both 9th and 10th graders are going to take, then the doorway issue would be that you're seeing that 9th and 10th grader in that class. And on a transcript, you're going to see 9th grade when the kids actually enter their grades when they apply to UC, it asks them, is it an honors designation or not? They ask them that question at 9th, 10th, and 11th. It's just that when they weight it, they don't consider the 9th grade as an option. But if they see that 9th grade is being taught at honors, then they're not going to give them, if it's offered at 10th, the 10th graders won't get that credit.
So in essence, they'd have to take it twice.
in order to get.
They can't get credit twice for
They
the
can't
same
get
class.
credit twice for the same class. Okay, okay, so that makes sense. And then now that we are looking to get that 10th grade UC honors designation, are we going to get that for the next school year, or is that something that's coming out in
No,
1920?
our intention, our plan this whole time has been to do the application once we're very clear on what the board has approved. So the doorways opened in February. We have submitted the physics and the universe class. We will be submitting the honors class for 10th grade, but we didn't want to put it in and then perhaps have you change that. So we are ready to enter all that information about Living Earth into UC doorways.
And how long does that process take?
Sometimes it's quick. Sometimes it's 2 weeks. Sometimes it's a couple of days.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Okay, so again, I apologize for all of these questions. I just want to make sure that it's really clear. I apologize for all of the controversy that this has created. I mean, I know it's been stressful for staff and teachers and families and everything. Second question is, or fourth question. I'm looking at this chart in terms of the equity lens that we were talking about, and it shows that what students are, the percentage of students that are enrolled in the AP, biology, chem, and the others. But what it does is it takes the total students in the district and compares them rather than by the grade span. So it's not apples to apples. So for example, it says 35,000 students, but we don't have 35,000 students that take AP Biology, AP Chem, etc. We only have in each grade span, if I understand it, we only have like 2,500 in each grade span. So this chart doesn't really reflect the number of students in each grade span that are taking this, if it's compared to 35,000 students. I'd like to see it compared to the number of kids.
Yeah, I think that might be hard because they're mixed grades within, because AP, you can take it, you don't, you're not restricted by grade. Like 9th and 10th graders are not going to take the AP unless they're at Irvington, but then, so.
Because students take different classes at different grade levels, it would be very difficult to do that calculation per grade level.
Okay, then that was the missing variable. I did not know that. So that helps me explain why those numbers are the way that they are. Okay, so I may have some more questions as we move forward, but I want to let my other board members have some time to talk. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, also all the hard work behind it. I have one question. I thought I heard the answer, but I just want to confirm it. Let's say in this scenario, we offer Living Earth honor for the 10th grade for both 9th and 10th graders. For the 9th graders, of course, when they submit their transcript, the grade would not be weighted by the UC standard. That I understand. But what about the 10th graders who took physics in their 9th grade, and then they took this Living Earth honors for the first time in their life in 10th grade? Would they automatically lose the weighted score GPA by UC just because in the class there are some, 9th graders too? Is that your belief?
Yes, that's the understanding we have from speaking with the UC doorway system. When we enter a class into the system, we have to click and say which students are eligible to take this. So ethically, we would have to check that 9th and 10th grade students are eligible to take our honors biology class. That would automatically nullify it, according to the UCs, from being eligible for weighting.
Because the requirement is a 1-year lab course as a prerequisite for an honors level weighted course.
They're also looking at the rigor. They're thinking that any class that would be honors at 9th grade probably isn't to the level that UCs want to be considered an honors 10th grade class.
Thank you. I have another question actually is also confirmation. I heard from Ms. Lemke that the plan for the district is to increase the rigor of the 9th grade physics, NGSS physics, and the 9th grade living earth, so that they will be more suitable for SAT tests eventually.
So that was for the honors level, that we know that we can make our honors physics in the universe aligned to the SAT physics course. The Algebra 2 trig disagreement, it's clarified, so they don't have to have trig, so that the math is okay. We can offer it as an honors level aligned to the SAT subject matter tests for physics, and 10th grade for the biology. And
where's the honors?
In the honors level.
There's
We
no-
don't have an
That
honors
was for
physics,
the
so it doesn't happen.
That was
It's-
for the previously
Yeah.
adopted
Right.
pathway, though,
Yes.
not the
That's-
current pathway.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for clarification. All right, so in front of us is an action item, and the board is supposed to review and approve honors entrance criteria. In the material, there's a current criteria, and also there's suggestions from the staff. So it's up to the board to make the decision tonight whether to continue the current criteria or modify based on part of the recommendations from the staff.
So, Dr. Shao, technically, if we want to stay with the path, we don't have to have a motion. We can just move to the next item, correct? It doesn't require action to stay with what we're already doing.
Right, unless you want to direct staff to explore it for 2019-20 instead.
Okay. So in this case, we just do have to vote, right? To approve our current criteria. That's my understanding, correct?
Because we're not changing anything. Right.
Okay.
Well, that's if we all agree that we're, I mean.
Right.
So what you're saying is, if I understand right, that there would be no honors for 9th grade. Is that what you're, okay, then that's, I understand.
Someone could make a motion just to accept staff recommendation of what was previously approved and go from there if you'd like.
Right, that's my point. We still have to vote. Either, we change to maintain. Either way, we have to, take a vote. That's my point. For this item, we cannot just move on to the next item.
I think we can, but if you're in charge, so I'll follow your lead.
Well,
Sure.
well, I'm sorry, I'm confused. I'm confused then. This confuses me because on page 2 of the honors criteria, if the question before us right now is, do we stay with the existing honors the way it is now, or if we want to recommend any changes? The existing honors, the way it says right now, in the science pathway, we have 9th grade biology.
No, we're talking about the entrance criteria, not the pathways. So that's why.
We're looking at page 3?
3 and
page
4.
4. Okay.
The
All right.
current
Good.
practice.
So we're looking at the criteria.
And if we
which?
want to make
Okay.
any changes, we can consider 4 variables listed on slide 5.
Okay. All right.
One other option, I know that right now we have a conversation around GATE scheduled for May. Not that we want to make that such a large thing, but this coming back to you with criteria for the future could be part of a GATE presentation in May.
Be for 2 years out.
Well, that conversation will be
Okay,
long.
do we have any motion on the floor to approve the current criteria, or any motion to modify the criteria, to the specifics?
I have motion and emotion. because when we look at the chart that Trustee Campbell had referred to about the percentage of students in the APs, obviously we have student groups that are significantly underrepresented in AP classes, and I think one of the reasons we wanted to have this discussion tonight was we wanted to create some equity in the district for all of our students, not just a certain population. So given that, and given that this can't roll out for this coming year but for the following year, I think we need to address this tonight so that staff can work on what that would look like in the fall of 2019. So I'm not okay with the status quo, I guess is what I'm saying.
Are you okay with the motion, with the recommendation? The recommendation is just as you expressed, I believe.
Is to research.
Well, to research, what we heard from student board member about what the recommendations are, or I mean, what they would like to see or not see as part of criteria, and I have to agree about the benchmarks. I think grades are fine, probably SBAC scores, student motivation is very important. So I'm good with 3 of the 4 boxes that you have, but that's just me.
Okay, for time's sake, I think, every board member would, express the opinion on, how to modify, but within limited amount of time, how can we reach consensus? That is the issue, just to say, I want to include this variable or that variable is, I believe, not specific enough.
Okay, well, if you all just agree with me, then that would...
No, what I mean is that in order for board members to vote on, we need a more specific motion on the floor.
If you accept staff's motion or staff's recommendation, it does not have honors for either class going forward. It has criteria for all students to be able to enter either pathway that they choose. And to me, it sounds like it's close to what the students were offering as well. Clarification?
Sort of, but I don't think it's very clear right now what that criteria is from 8th grade to like 9th grade. So what we decide on right now, it doesn't sound like it's the details. It's more of just the idea that we can work with it moving on. So if we can still work with this moving forward, the criteria for honors, then I think we should move with the motion. But I'm not satisfied with the current status quo.
Right. So I think 9th grade, there's no science honors. So it's not a criteria from 8th grade to 9th grade. But if we're looking at honors in general for all of our honors classes, then that's a different conversation.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay, so I heard there are 2 issues. First of all is to approve the criteria of our current practice based on the pathways that was adopted 2 weeks ago. Is that the motion that, and of course, further, with further research on in the future for any more specific criteria change.
So I thought I was clear, but now I'm not clear.
Me either. I'm
because
confused.
we're not talking about the pathways that were adopted
right.
2 weeks ago.
No, we are
that's
not.
done, right.
We're not. So we're just talking about the criteria that the staff has presented on page 3 and 4. That's the current criteria. If we want to make any change from that, then does any board member have a more specific motion?
For your consideration, if we go to page 3, honors science for junior high, if we just make that the criteria for the freshman entrant.
There is no freshman honors class. Or do you mean for all the classes? There's no freshman science honors.
Right, so what, right.
So you're saying across the board, this is what we would go with for any honors class that is offered in 9th grade?
Yes.
So if I can see if there's a compromise here, because I think I hear what the goal is that for this current year, accept the current criteria, but perhaps to direct staff to explore further what those other specific criteria might be for the 1920 school year?
That is accurate for.
Is that what?
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
Okay. That is a very specific suggestion. If that's agreeable to any board members, I would like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
But what's your
Ms. Sandoval has it. Ms. Sandoval has it, right?
I believe so. Well, at least part of it, and Dr. Wallace can actually add on. Review and approve honors interest criteria for the 2017-18 school year and direct staff to.
It's to accept staff recommendation for the current criteria for the 18-19 school year, and to direct staff to examine additional criteria for the 1920 school year, which we would bring back to the board.
And it might not be additional, it might be substitution or removal or.
And thank you. I believe that's almost exactly what I said, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You're articulate.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
I think I made the motion, is that right?
For 1920?
And do we have a second?
Yeah, a second. Who made the motion?
Larry.
Sweeney.
I'm going to go ahead and vote in favor of this because I think it's a great motion. I will just express at this point that I'm not interested in us going down a road where the only criteria is student choice, because I think we end up setting students up for failure by doing that. We know that students have a really strong belief in their abilities, which we want them to have. We want that, but 3 weeks in, suddenly they realize what they've really gotten themselves into at times, and then you end up with a problem. So,
well, and yes, I mean, I don't want to. Right, I agree, and that's why we have several options that we can consider. But that would have been the beauty of having.
So will we continue like this discussion at the next board meeting?
It would not be at the next board meeting.
No.
Because we would be talking about it for the 1920 school year, and so I think we have a little bit of more time to examine what kind of options to bring forward. But I think we've heard some parameters from you.
Thank you.
President Shao, first motion made by Trustee Sweeney and second by Mr. Burke.
Can I ask another clarifying question?
Sure.
In terms of the pathways that we selected for last board meeting for next generation science standards, is that open for discussion for the next, not this school year, but the school year after, if we decide on a new honors path? If we're looking at that.
That's not open for discussion now.
Not now.
Okay.
I'm asking a question
No,
about
sorry,
the future.
I was trying to clarify.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about future,
Okay.
future conversations. Because if the goal, and I think I've heard this many times throughout this whole 3 months that we've been dealing with this, is that we're trying to get kids ready for the 11th grade science test, and we want them to be able to have had classes in all of the standards. And we don't believe, I'm guessing that we don't believe that the dual pathways will get us there. Are we open to slowly moving us into the pathway that will get us to what we need? Because it could ultimately impact our accountability, our LCAP, and some other accountability standards that we have.
If I can take a quick little stab too, we require 2 years of science, so those students who only want to take 2 years can take 2 years. The state will test on 3 years, and that's statewide. Every district's going to have that issue. So no matter what we offer, there's going to be a lot of children who only want to take 2 years. So that just factors in. It is what it is.
I think perhaps we might just talk about bringing in an evaluation of how the year has gone. What our data that we've gathered does look like, and then, but I would caution about making any change after 1 year, because you don't really have enough time to see the success of a program in 1 year.
Well, so Yeah. Well, I mean, because I'm hearing on the other side of my brain, we don't have enough data to support next generation science standards. He's whispering in my ear. He didn't say anything really. That we don't have enough data to support it. So if we could say that because we made this change and we're moving in this direction, that this could perhaps be our pilot year to see where it's going, how it's working, and then make some concrete recommendations in 1920. No, never mind. I see the confusion on your face.
I think you would have to have, future agenda items.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm asking.
The policy of
yeah.
bringing any topic into the future agenda items, and we already have that. As long as you have two members on the board who agree to put this in the agenda items, then we can talk.
Okay. All right.
All right. At this moment, we have a motion on the floor and a second, and we're ready to vote.
It's open for your votes. No, Javier? No. Trustee Burke? Thank you. And the motion passes with 4 ayes, with Trustee Burke, Trustee Crosby, Trustee Shao, and Trustee Sweeney voting yes, and Trustee Campbell voting no.
Really?
Okay, we already agreed to move 15.3 to the last item of the regular agenda item for tonight. So we'll skip 15.3 and go to 15.4. Approve the first reading of new policy 6142.3, sexual health and HIV/AIDS prevention, instruction, and review the administrative regulation.
Thank you, trustees. We are here to deliver the presentation for board policy and administrative regulation related to sexual health and puberty education in Fremont Unified School District. Linda Anderson and I will be here to deliver the presentation, and we have our attorney who will be here to answer any questions you might have, because we know that there are some legal questions that have been coming our way, and we wanted to make sure you had not only our perspective, but our attorney's perspective. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the first slide, which is basically just to tell you the journey, excuse me, that we've been on in Fremont Unified. Prior to 2011, if you notice here, health and sex ed was taught in 5th and 6th in the elementary level. So prior to 2011, and that is the curriculum that we used for 5th grade, Who Am I Now, and or changing program on puberty and development. And then for 6th grade, we use Girl to Women and Boy to Man. So that, again, that was prior to 2011. In 2010, what happened was, what was brought to the board was to change the curriculum, and that's why the new videos started. And also at that time is when it was moved to 4th grade too. So that was started in 2011. And what was then shown was looking ahead about boys, looking ahead about girls, that was for 4th grade. For 5th grade is You, Your Body, and Puberty. That's 5th grade. And again, for 6th, Growing Up Comes First. And for 7th through 9th was Flash Curriculum. In 2018, because of the California Healthy Youth Act, AB 329, the curriculum guides were adjusted to be in compliance with the California Healthy Youth Act. So the California Healthy Youth Act, it came into in January of 2016, and it has 5 primary purposes. So number 1, to provide pupils with the knowledge and skills necessary to protect their sexual and reproductive health from HIV and other sexually transmitted infections and from unintended pregnancy. That's purpose number 1. Purpose number 2, to provide pupils with the knowledge and skills they need to develop healthy attitudes concerning adolescence growth and development, body image, gender, sexual orientation, relations, marriage, and family. Purpose number 3 is to promote understanding of sexuality as a normal part of human development. Purpose number 4 is to ensure pupils receive integrated, comprehensive, accurate, and unbiased sexual health and HIV prevention instruction and provide educators with clear tools and guidance to accomplish this end. And the 5th purpose is to provide pupils with the knowledge and skills necessary to have healthy, positive, and safe relationships and behaviors.
At the last board meeting, we were asked to work to bring a draft policy forward to the school board for consideration, because although instruction in health and puberty ed has been a longstanding practice in the school district, there has not been a policy necessarily to guide this. Ms. Anderson and I looked to the CSBA policy for our guidance. This is a lot of text, but we pulled directly from the CSBA. And the recommendations from the CSBA are, again, that the district provide a comprehensive sexual health and HIV prevention in grades 7 through 12. And that is with instruction at least once in the junior high or middle school and at least once in high school. It also authorizes us to provide age-appropriate sexual health education prior to 7th grade. It is not required to do it prior to 7th grade. But if we do provide health and sex education, it still needs to meet those guideposts of being medically accurate, inclusive, and delivered by trained teachers. The draft policy also requires that we notify parents of the comprehensive sexual education materials, and that parents have an opportunity to request that their child not participate or opt out. And again, this particular ed code requires passive consent, meaning that we assume students will receive the instruction unless the parent opts out. And again, that is part of the ed code that requires that type of parental agreement. So all of those things are included in the draft policy that we sent to you. The second thing is making sure that we integrated the guidelines for providing sexual health education in grades earlier than 7, because that has been past practice in our district. So we are making sure in our practice that teachers are receiving curriculum, and that is in the policy, that it is medically accurate, and that it is age appropriate. And we know that there have been some concerns about what determines age appropriateness. And one of the things that we have used is the California health framework and the standards that are appropriate at that grade level. So it wasn't necessarily just picking some things arbitrarily. We carefully looked at the California health standards related to sex and puberty education, and that's how we determined if a certain subject area was appropriate or not, as deemed by the experts in California who created the standards. So the policy that we're presenting to you is 99% the same as that of CSBA. Very few things that we included were because our past practice has been to offer health and puberty ed prior to 7th grade. So we did want to merge our past practice with the requirements to comply with AB 329. Another important aspect is that we have been working very hard as a district to be very gender inclusive in many of our practices, and we do have policies on that, on being gender inclusive. And so our goal was to provide this instruction in mixed gender settings. However, the law does not require that. And so that would be a decision that the board would need to make. And we did highlight that in a different color in the board policy that we sent to you, knowing that that would be for board purview. So that's a summary of the information of the board policy that we're recommending for you to consider tonight.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I understand that we have a huge number of speakers who are waiting to speak on this item. And obviously, the maximum and the minimum time for each speaker would be 1 minute, because 30 seconds basically is not practical.
That's the elevator pitch. Yes, it is.
But since we have people who share, a lot of people who share similar or same opinion, I encourage you to group together so that you can enjoy a little bit longer than 1 minute to deliver the complete message and clear message, and second of all, to keep the whole process moving. So we don't have to spend like 300 minutes simply to allow 300 speakers to address on this item. How many speakers do we have?
I stopped counting after 200.
Okay. Okay, close enough. So why don't we get this going as soon as possible? I don't need to read the statement from the board again.
And we may need to take a break in the middle of the speakers just to allow the captioner. So, Ms. Sandoval, what time are we due for another break?
In about 45 minutes
okay.
or so.
Thank you.
And just to let you know, I have to thank the audience, because they themselves did come to me with grouped individuals, and they paper clipped a couple of those cards. So I am very appreciative of that.
Thank you, audience. Okay. Trustee Crosby.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask a process question. So we've been allowing somebody who has a group of 3 to come up and speak for 3 minutes because they're 3 people. Is it possible to encourage people? I think that if you're standing behind somebody, we understand that there's more people that are supportive of what you're saying. I'm not sure how, 200 people?
That's 3 hours.
Well,
allow
typically,
3 hours?
let's say if a group of 20 people stand together and one person is delivering the speech, and typically that speech will last way shorter than 20 minutes. So overall, we save time in that way.
Right. So what we've done in the past is we've allowed somebody the original 3 minutes, and all 20 people are represented by those 3 minutes. Are we going to do something similar here? Because we're talking about how many hours?
If it's 200 minutes, that would be 3.5 hours. I'm off by a couple of minutes. And that's just limiting to that. But
And we have other items on our agenda this evening. I want to hear from you, but I do. Believe me, I do want to hear. But practically...
Okay. And I think, too, when we look on the news and we see controversial things going on in San Francisco and Oakland, and their meetings going on till 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, that's because they're letting everybody speak. And I think that we have to at least group together, but we have to let everybody speak. And if that takes 3 hours, then it takes 3 hours.
Okay, so let's get it going. Miss.
Can we ask that everybody be cordial to each other because we have so many speakers? So we just be respectful of
Yes,
making the time?
yes. Just be respectful and cordial to each other, even though you hold different opinions. Ms. Sandoval, please announce the first group.
Okay, I wanted to also let the audience know that for those of you who submitted grouped cards, I will call only the name on top. And if you can all sort of gather with that individual who submitted the card, I believe you all know each other anyways, if that's acceptable.
Okay. That's acceptable as long as you remember which group you belong to. Yes.
Yeah, they do. I was told they did.
Sure.
Okay, so Jupin Lane, Glenn Stark, Uday Gokarn, Ping Lul, Naveed Binawar, Kaur Se, Devi Sunitha, Ivy Wu, David Sheen, Ritesh Patel, Danny Su.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Glenn Stark. Why don't we consider maybe having the parents opt in instead of opt out, so that way they're not forced to have to do this every year. The other thing is, children learn math, science, language, history, arts with the goal to acquire knowledge that will lead to a career. With the exception of learning about personal health and human biology, what career options would sex ed lead to? Let not Pandora's box be opened here. Once it's open, it'll be very difficult to close it again. Now, why is it that a person needs to be of legal age to purchase a gun, buy cigarettes, buy alcohol, view adult content, but we're considering exposing children to subject matter that's not appropriate for their age? Even though you say they do, I don't believe that is the case. We do not want our children to be distracted and to have developed and potentially addictive behavior. Leave the subject to be taught by parents. Adopting this curriculum will only encourage immoral behavior.
Thank you.
I have two people, so 3 minutes total. All right, thank you. Hi, my name is Juping Lang, and I'm a parent and a registered voter of Fremont. I was the Fremont Unified School District here, and I'm very concerned about the district's practice in drafting this board policy because the district seems to be inconsistent. BP 6161.1 says, quote, the superintendent or designee shall establish a process by which instructional materials shall be reviewed for recommendation to the board. This process shall involve a committee which will be responsible for making a recommendation to the superintendent, who will make a recommendation to the governing board. So my question is, why is curriculum and instruction, which is also referred to as C&I committee, not included in this new BP 6142.3? Now, even if included, I am concerned that C&I committee may not have its real function. According to the C&I committee meeting minutes, October 17, 2017, committee members were not allowed to vote or make recommendations about the 3 R's curriculum at the meeting. This is a quote from the meeting minutes. The instructional service portion of the Fremont Unified School District is recommending to replace the current 4th to 8th sex ed curriculum. The Curriculum Instruction Advisory Committee is only being invited to enter online feedback, as the rest of the community is also invited. The Curriculum Instruction Advisory will not be voting on this or making a recommendation. Even though feedback is being requested, the plan is not to make changes to the curriculum. It is a free curriculum from a third-party group and will not be modified. The decision from the school district will be to use it as it is, unquote. So my 3 questions for the board, for this audience is, why are the C&I committee members not allowed to discuss during the meeting? 2, what is the purpose of the staff asking for parental feedback when they clearly have already made up their mind and said, according to the board minutes, that curriculum will not be modified, and the district will be to use it as it is? And 3, why is this policy requiring 4th to 6th graders to take sexual health, which is not required by the law? Thank you very much.
Next group.
You can state your name, please.
Yes, my name's Cole.
All the names are in your group.
Kevin Zhang.
Wait.
Dear Honorable FSU as FUSD School Board Trustees, my name is Cole Say. I'm a Fremont registered voter and parent of FUSD. For the past 3 years, I served as a safety patrol volunteer in the elementary school every day to make sure our children have a safe start in the morning. From my volunteering experience, I learned that good things happen when school engage parents. As one of our nation's founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, said, whenever the people are well informed, they can be trusted with their own government. When things get so far wrong as to attract their notice, they may be relied on to set them to right. Recently, I've noticed anger and outrage from many concerned parents regarding the adoption of the highly controversial 3R's sex education curriculum. It appears that our FUSD staff have failed to involve parents and the school board in this important issue. Here, we want to raise our serious concern over the new BP 6142.3, as we believe it may be the staff's attempt to cover up for failing to adequately inform and involve parents in the interview and the adoption process in this sex education curriculum. In this BP 6142.3, the board policy must allow parents to be adequately and consistently notified so they can have the opportunity to actively involve in the process of curriculum instruction selection, review, and adoption. And it must be also very clearly outline the curriculum selection and adoption process with adequate parental involvement. Item number 4 in the AR 6142.3 says, sexual health instruction are appropriate for use with students of all races, genders, sexual orientation, and ethnic and cultural background. Our question is, how is this ethnic and cultural background in Fremont being considered in adopting 3Rs? It appears that the AR 6142.3 is based on the CSBA policy. At this moment, we are confused regarding relationship between the CSBA policy and the FUSD school policy. Please bring us on board by showing us a copy of the CSBA policy. Dear school board trustees, we thank you for your community service. We trust you being our eyes and ears and work with us to make a better future for our children. We are counting on you to represent us, the Fremont voters, to make the right decision in this important issue. Please do not fail our children. Thank you.
Next group, please.
Good evening. I have two friends behind me. Their names Connie Pen and Yan Nan Hu, and they're not strangers I picked from the street. What is your name? Connie Pen and Yan Nan Hu. Oh, my name is Ping Luo. Okay. The Honorable FUSD School Board Trustees, my name is Ping. I'm a parent of FUSD. I have two boys, 4th grader and 1st grader. I'm here tonight to present many voters in Fremont to voice my anger and outrage over how FUSD has failed to involve the parents and the board in its adoption of this highly controversial 3Rs curriculum. We also want to raise our serious concerns about this new board policy, 6142.3. I have a few questions to ask you guys. Why do we need a brand new BP just for this 3R curriculum? If that's the case, do we have a BP for every single new curriculum, like NGSS? And did we have a BP for Flash? And shouldn't this policy be placed on the board agenda for discussion way before the 3R curriculum was adopted in April 2017? And why is being introduced now and in such rush? And why does it demand teaching sexual health to the 4th grader or above? Now, why must it be taught in a co-ed class, which is not required by the law? And that these questions are too obvious to ignore, okay? This new board policy directly contradicts the current board policy, which is BP 6141, which clearly indicates that the board approval is the final step for any curriculum adoption. Therefore, the implementation of a 3R curriculum is invalid, as it has never been approved by the board for its adoption. We highly respect our school board trustees, especially the ones who take the time and listen to us, and that's why we voted for you guys. Please do not forget the most important duties as the school board trustees. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next group. I guess it's just one person?
I'm alone.
Okay, 1 minute, please.
Yeah. Thanks for giving us this time. Good evening to everyone. So this code, I am Ritesh. I am a father of a 5th grader. The code ED 51934 does not require teaching comprehensive sexual health education and HIV prevention education to elementary school students. Why does BP 6142.3 require 4th to 6th grader to take these lessons? 3R is inappropriate for even 7th to 9th grader. The whole process of adoption of 3R was improper. Why doesn't board do the right thing by involving parents in the curriculum and the selection and adoption process? PPP visit, which is positive prevention plus sexual health curriculum, has been taught and proven to be good for the Cupertino students. They even train the parents first. Why can't we consider adopting PPP instead of 3R? In fact, I didn't get a chance or a seat in the preview sessions that you had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, I need your name.
Next group.
Sir.
Sir, your name, please.
Your name.
Ritesh. Thank you.
Thank you. Please introduce the group.
Yeah, so I have Shrutri Srinivasta and Archana Hangalu, and my name is Sunita Devi. My name is Sunita, and I'm a resident taxpayer of Fremont, parent of 3 kids attending Fremont School District. According to the California Health Youth Act, sexual education should be taught only once in middle and once in high school. But Fremont teaches from 4th to 9th grade every single year. What is your basis for teaching excessive sex education? Co-ed teaching is not required by AB 329, but some teachers told parents in our emails that it is required by law. Does the staff really know what they are talking about? Why is FUSD always going above and beyond the law? Why must sexuality health be taught to 4th and 6th graders when the law does not require it? Why were parents and teachers told that the co-ed is required by law when clearly it is not? Please do not spread the rumor and take your responsibility seriously. Show us why excessive sex ed benefit our children. Show us how co-ed was fully tested and experienced before rolling it out to our children. Our children are not guinea pigs, and there is only one chance to get it right. Please suspend the 3R curriculum for 4th to 6th graders. Thank you.
Thank you. Next group.
Board
Please
members,
introduce
my name
the
is David
group.
Sheen, and I have on my party here Arthur Wayne. Good evening, members of the board. My name is David Sheen. I'm a Fremont resident and a registered voter. I'm also a concerned parent and a practicing attorney in the area. My concern is pretty simple, without any embellishment. Why is AR 6143.3 so special that the sexual health materials are exempt from parental involvement and board vote? If you look at AR 6141, the curriculum design clearly says that the curriculum design proposals approved by the Instructional Division Curriculum Council will be forwarded by the chairperson with comments and recommendations to the superintendent for approval by the Board of Education. And BP 6143 curriculum guide also says that the curriculum development is based on the assumption that such effort is most productive when conducted as a collaborative enterprise in which teachers, administrators, students, and parents participate appropriately. I thought I had 2
You
minutes.
have another minute.
Okay. Furthermore, AR 6161.1, selection of instructional and library materials, says that the superintendent or designee shall establish a process by which the instructional material shall be reviewed for recommendations to the board, and then it spells out a selection process. So my question is this: why is the school board not allowed to vote on the sexual health material under AR 6142.3? And also, why is AR 6142.3 going beyond the requirement of California Healthy Youth Act to offer a comprehensive sexual health education in grades 4 to 6 and in mixed gender groupings? In closing, I respectfully say this: the law clearly does not require teaching sexual health in elementary schools. So the wise thing here to do is simply not teach it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next group.
My name is Uday, and this is...
Yun.
Hi, my name is Uday Gokaran, Brookwell Elementary parent, registered voter, and resident of Fremont. The proposed board policy does not provide for adequate parent participation. Excuse me, I need to restart. The time that I've allocated is 3 minutes. I saw only 2 minutes being allocated to me. Can you start again? It's 2:20. I need to restart it. Thank you. Hi, my name is Uday Gokaran, Brookwell parent, registered voter and resident of Fremont. The proposed board policy does not provide for adequate parent participation, does not provide adequate notice, does not provide for adequate time slots for all the district parents to be heard. There is no provision for parental feedback to be documented, responded to by the district, and shared with the community and the board. The board must have the final say in the selection and adoption of any sexual education curriculum, and it must not be left to the district administration. Why are our kids being made guinea pigs for a haphazardly conceived sexual education curriculum? What is the proof that this curriculum has brought better awareness of HIV in districts where it was taught? Where is the documented research that outlines that kids, especially elementary school kids, taught this curriculum are better equipped than the kids that were not taught this curriculum? In the absence of this research, we might be harming the kids rather than helping them by unnecessarily exposing them to excessive sexual content at a very young age. Board Policy 6121 states, education is a cooperative venture, the responsibility for which is shared by the school, the home, the student, and other agencies of the society. The proposed board policy violates this belief by not providing adequate parental representation, not providing a forum for the community to discuss, and clearly does not provide board oversight. The law requires sex education should be taught only once in 7th grade and once in high school. This must also be the only guiding criteria in the policy. The district administration has gone overboard by making the policy applicable even to elementary school kids by wrongly interpreting the law. Even the CSBA policy does not recommend teaching sex education to elementary kids. I urge the board to respect the law and not roll out sex education curriculum for elementary school kids. I submit there is no need for a separate board policy for sex education curriculum. Do we have a board policy for physics, mathematics, or science? Why is sex education treated differently? Just as any normal curriculum, sex education curriculum should be discussed at the board, undergo parental review before being rolled out to the students. Given all these glaring inconsistencies and discrepancies that I've highlighted, I request the board to reject this policy and AR. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next group.
Hello. Yes, my name is Danny Sue, and I have 2 kids, 3rd and 5th grader in the school district. I have been living in Fremont since 1990, and I have attended grade school here until I graduated Washington High School 20 years ago. Trustee Crosby replied in an email stating that the board does not approve curriculums. We approve textbooks. We approve the NGSS pathway, however, not the curriculum. What is the difference between a curriculum versus instructional guide, textbook, and teaching materials? BP 6161.1 calls it instructional material which requires board approval. BP 6143 calls it curriculum guide, which also requires board vote. Under Board's Policy 6161, equipment, books, and materials are all referred to as essential tools of the teaching profession. There is no distinction made between textbooks, instructional materials, or curriculum. Please refer back to the existing board policies, and please do not teach sex ed to our 4th to 6th grader and no mixed gender instructions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next group.
Honorable Board, it's Angela Yu, Hong Min Han, and Naveed bin Anwar. I'm one of the many concerned FUSD parents. It is with great disappointment that I would like to express my profound concerns regarding a move to concentrate powers of the superintendent for a particular policy, BPR AR 6142.3. As foolish as it may appear, interestingly, it violates the fundamental philosophy and tenets of FUSD. Let me remind you that tenet number 2 under the FUSD mission states, all students are entitled to experience an equitable, comprehensive, developmentally appropriate, and culturally supportive curriculum which is responsive to different learning styles. The governing board desires to represent community, and provide leadership in addressing community issues related to education. Number 2, let me also remind you about the role of administrative staff. School and district staff members, parents, guardians, community members, and local organizations must continually collaborate as partners. The district superintendent, principal, and all other administrators shall have the authority and responsibility necessary for their specific administrative tasks. All right, now let's take a look at, some believe, very few, some believe that this policy that's being mooted here is so vital to students that they want superintendent to be in full control, defining, maintaining, protecting the proposed curriculum change, as superintendent would bypass the entire board and make decisions completely independently with no interference whatsoever from the board, and most importantly, the most important stakeholders in this entire mix, the parents. The parent community would have no opportunity to collaborate and raise voice against such curriculum, which to many is completely inappropriate and absolutely not required. Sounds absurd? Of course, yes. Parents are clearly shocked, disappointed, and feel excluded through this unnecessary procedural change, as well as the proposed curriculum change. The very reason of existence of this board that's sitting in front of us would be compromised if such a motion or such a policy is implemented. Thank you for the opportunity to share my views on behalf of 5,000 parents who signed this petition against it. I look forward to an all-inclusive FUSD environment where there's no single person enjoys dictatorial authority, lacking accountability. And by the way, towards the end, let me remind you, let's produce a culture and environment for our kids that can produce more John F. Kennedys, more Abraham Lincolns, and let's not foster a culture that may produce more Ted Bundys. Thank you.
Thank you. Next group.
I will only need 2 minutes. Okay, good evening, board and staff. My name is Ivy Wu. I'm not here to represent FUS or Fremont Council PTA. I'm here as a concerned parent along with many others who are here tonight and many who cannot come. And I would like to remind the board that 3Rs is no different from FLASH, which was agendized and voted by the board on October 26, 2011. I was there. The fact that other school districts are opposing 3 Rs and more than 5,000 people are petitioning against its adoption shows the importance of at least having it on the board's agenda for a discussion. When I first came to the United States, I had to learn English. I remember learning the phrase, haste makes waste, and thought it was so cool because it rhymes. It was not until after I made many bad mistakes due to haste that I learned how much time and efforts I have wasted. And this is exactly what I am seeing with this current proposed board policy and 3 Rs curriculum. Why in such a hurry? Why put together a new board policy just so that it could be used retroactively to support the legitimacy of adopting and implementing 3 Rs? There are so many problems with this board policy, as with the 3 Rs curriculum, as pointed out by many of the speakers already. And I urge the board to put off the implementation of 3 Rs curriculum for all grade levels until number 1, board has a chance to vote. Number 2, parents have a chance to review and give feedback. Number 3, all opt-out curriculum are properly in place. And number 4, the 6 health content areas are included and thoroughly studied. So I really respectfully ask the board to have this item on your future agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have about 10 minutes until our next break. So, Ms. Sandoval, could you call in about 10 people?
Sure. Shang Zhang, Josephine Shan, Patricia Lan, Bassanio Law, Natasha McCaslin, Miranda Morton, Yasmin Safinia Davis, Marwa Abubakar, Danny Sue. What are your names? They're all, well, they're green and orange, depending on what you filled out. And there's no time for right now to do that. What is your name? Yes, I did call you. Go ahead and line.
Is me up?
Yes, go ahead and get in line. Line up, please. I don't know. There's so many cards. You can just go ahead and stand in line. Just state your name clearly, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead and stand in line.
Okay. Okay. We got two. Group together.
Ready?
Okay, please proceed. 2 minutes, please.
Hi, my name is Shenming.
My name is Sonia Chen.
I'm a registered voter in Fremont and also a concerned Fremont USD parent. But I'm not worried because I'm not alone here. I saw a big crowd of parents as concerned as me. So I think we got a chance that I would like to have the board to hear. I am all for education, as I